Why are you dressed like a nugget? I've told you before, I am not a nugget. Owen Hart, what are you even doing here? You died nearly 25 years ago in the Kemper Arena in Kansas City. Look out! First of all, I resent your tone. Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget is a Netflix original directed by Sam Fell. Oh no, the director of Paranorman, flushed away in other projects, has fallen again. Stand the son of a bitch back up. We must talk about what he has done. Check out his IMDb page for the full list of his work, written by Rachel Tunnard, who's done Adult Life Skills and other projects, and returning writers Carrie Kirkpatrick and John Farrell, who did additional dialogue for the first Chicken Run. What is additional dialogue, you ask? Oh, stuff like, hey you, get off that, and why not? Deep cut MST3K reference for you all. And this is a sequel to, wait for it, sit down, get a neck pillow, relax, don't do it if you want to go through it. Relax, don't do it. It's a sequel to Chicken Run that came out in 2000 that was widely regarded as a pretty entertaining spin on the Wallace and Gromit formula from the guys that did the Wallace and Gromit stuff. Unfortunately, Peter Lord, Lord of the Peters, and Nick Park decided to park elsewhere and have nothing to do with this particular one. They said, Sam Fell, if you can stand up, at least at some point, and stop being your last name, then we will absolutely let you fund this project that we're going to sell to Netflix. And then all their subscribers all over the goddamn world are going to see Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. So yeah, what is the plot of Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget? First, let's talk about the cast. We have Ginger, voiced this time by Thandie Newton, who is 52 years old and looks the same as she did in Mission Impossible 2, Electric Boogaloo. Actually, that was also directed by John Woo. Woo 2! Don't watch John Woo's latest movie, Silent Night. Check out my review of that if you want. And Ginger, Rocky, and all your favorites return. And Rocky, well, was voiced by Mel Gibson in the first one. You can check out my review for my initial thoughts on that. And also this time, since they didn't want to deal with the really, really toxic, stuff that comes with Mel Gibson, or maybe he just didn't want to do it, he was asking for too much money, or they were like, we're going to go in a different direction. They got somebody completely non-toxic. Zachary Levi. Okay, well, maybe he's just as toxic, a real piece of shit, as it were, and pretty much just torpedoes his own goddamn, A-list career by being a moron. So, other characters return, like Babs and Mac and Fowler and various others, and it was nice to actually hear some of the original voice cast. And also, this time around, Ginger, and I can't help but say it like Sean Connery. Ginger and Rocky, they're living on an island, a paradise, where everybody's living in peace, even as their lives are being threatened by certain things outside. They are on this island, it's very hard to get to. They still have the two rat buddies that they had from the first one that bring them supplies, and everything's good. And then they have a daughter. And Ginger and Rocky, by the way, not the rat buddies. That would have been really weird. And Molly is voiced by Bella Ramsey. They were in The Last of Us. I'm saying they because that's a pronoun, so let's just be respectful of that. And after getting critical acclaim for being in The Last of Us, Season 2 is certainly going to be interesting after watching Season 1 and watching how they played that up. Going to be interesting to see how they follow it up. So yeah, Molly ends up growing up adventurous, all that, and eventually ventures off the island and ends up getting caught in a thing where there is this Funland farm fortress area where she is captured. She has a new friend named Frizzle, and Frizzle is very frazzled. Everybody is frazzled because they realize this whole paradise isn't actually what they thought it was, and it's an impenetrable fortress that Ginger and her friends must get into, including Rocky. Everybody must band together after breaking out in the first one. This time they have to break in, solve this mystery before their daughter's history. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget Tales, woohoo, that's really, really long-winded. Yeah, that's pretty much the plot right there. Okay, so if you like the first Chicken Run, I'm not sure how you're going to feel about this one. I enjoyed the first Chicken Run, even as I admit that it was more of a concept that was fleshed out, short story concept that was fleshed out to a full-length feature. But it was still a breezy, 75 minutes, 82 minutes with credits. This is an hour and 41 minutes, and there are 16 minutes of end credits. Like, it ends up being 85 minutes and somehow feels stretched out. There are moments that work. Babs, once again, stealing the show with just her unabashed stupidity. Great character there. And there are a few funny moments. There's also an inclusion of a song by Cliff Richard and The Shadows, Summer Holiday. I did not expect that at all. That really, really surprised me. I was like, where'd they dig this up? I remember hearing this song before, but holy shit. The problem is some of the other songs they include really weren't all that well, and it didn't hit. The proper kind of sequel jumps off while using some of the same themes, but jumps off to do his own thing. A bad sequel tunnels back in on the original and then takes about a 2-hour nap, and that's pretty much what this one did. It didn't really click. The voice actor changes didn't hurt for Ginger. Zachary Levi is not funny. He's really not. Even bullshit aside that he believes in, he's half as funny as he thinks he is. And yeah, this felt like an unnecessary sequel. It almost felt like Chicken Run DLC. I am going to get into spoilers in a little bit if you want to check it out, but just the animation doesn't even really pop. Like, a few of the gags work. There are a few twists that you can see coming from a mile away, and it feels just more like it's a love letter to the first one rather than being a proper sequel honoring the memory of the other one. It doesn't end up clicking. A few decent parts. Yeah, it's all about family. That part was nice, but none of the characters really felt like they mattered. Everything felt samey and felt in. None of the characters really seemed like they grew. It's really all I have to say right there. So it is on Netflix if you want to check it out. Maybe you'll feel differently, but for me, this sequel didn't necessarily work. So anyway, I'm going to get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So they go to this Funland farm thing after they leave their island paradise to go search for Molly. Ginger wanted to originally hide from these trucks and this deforestation is taking place, just like on that side of the lake and everything. And, since they're in their own paradise and they create all this stuff, it's going great. Frizzle meets Molly. Hey, look at this, Funland Farms thing. They're doing all this stuff. They get their own bucket. Who doesn't want their own bucket? And Molly, being wanting to be adventurous but also stupid because she's never been to the outside world, decides to go with her. They get captured and they realize, well, this isn't necessarily the happy place they thought it was. Everybody is fitted with a collar that makes them kind of zombie-like and, has a control mechanism. The only ones that don't have it are Frizzle and Molly because they managed to escape that stuff. There is a character, Dr. Fry, that kind of reminded me of the nerdy kid from Jimmy Neutron, just with a different race. He really did remind me of that, if you know what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, also Mrs. Tweedy is back. She is running this whole thing. I don't really think that's much of a shock. That's the part where I was like, okay, this really reminded me of Good Burger 2. Don't get me wrong, this is much better than Good Burger 2. This at least has a few moments that made me laugh. Good Burger 2 did not. And the movie feels manufactured. It also feels stretched out with Rocky, getting fried by a bunch of these robots, because it's a fortress-like thing. They have these duck robots and these other laser-guided robots and all this stuff. And these guards that are really stupid because they are easily outmatched. I mean, easily outmatched and outsmarted. The rats kind of use their ingenuity and their ability to use gadgets. And I did kind of, one funny line, or one funny exchange, I'll admit. Ginger, all right, everyone, it's go time. Babs is like, it's okay, I went before we left. Babs is just delightful, It's a good thing they have subtitles for characters like Mac because I cannot understand a goddamn thing. Most people with that accent. I'll just say that much. Molly then sees Frizzle fitted with a collar, so now she has to figure out what the hell is going on, even though it's pretty obvious. She sees this film. There's this guy that runs this fast food joint. He's nicknamed Sir Eats a Lot. And the idea is to not have the chickens be scared, to have the chickens be, to have it, adjusted fear pushed out the goddamn window so they can taste good, they can taste happy, the meat isn't too tense and everything. Instead of free-range chicken, it's lack of free will chicken. And they are basically sent, into the bucket, turned into chicken bites. And Even though Dr. Fry and Mrs. Tweedy are married because she married him for his mind and also the fact that he has a lot of money, she kind of falls for this Reginald guy who's, nicknamed Sir Eats a Lot. It's obvious a little romance thing is going there. Rocky ends up getting saved by the rats just before being put in an incinerator. There's also this thing a little bit earlier on where he refers to popcorn. Popcorn gets factored in a little bit later. Popcorn saves everything, or it's like it solves all the world problems, to alcohol the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. Molly will not leave without Frizzle, even though her mom rescues her and even though her mom goes to great risk. Let's just say Mrs. Tweedy sees that Rocky and Ginger are still alive, gets these bad memories, somehow survived dropping quite a few feet from that plane, that makeshift plane. But we end up getting some showdowns. There's a few remotes that control various things. I'm sure that won't factor into the finish of this movie at all, except it does. They all end up getting stuck in a corn silo, all the heroes and everything, and then it looks like they're going to get ground. The corn is going to get ground down. But then Mac has lost her glasses. There's a firework that they were going to use for some reason, and they decide to light it with the sun that's poking through the silo and turn into a bunch of popcorn. Babs is like, oh, is there more? And then it's just popping under her feet because Babs is delightfully stupid. And Molly is blaming herself because of all this stuff that's going on. But they get out of the corn silo, and then she's like, I need to go back. Ginger decides to go with her. Everybody, instead of escaping back to their paradise, decides to rescue all the chickens. There's a showdown between them and Mrs. Tweedy. Looks like she's going to axe them. Rocky flies through and stops Mrs. Tweedy from axing them. This is right after Ginger had hit the button to stop all the chickens, and then they were being pushed back to get out of the bucket incinerator device that was made. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the rest of it right there. They hatch their plan to get in a truck, drive away, and stuff like that. Dr. Fry's completely useless. Mrs. Tweedy ends up in the breaded device and ends up being bred like a nugget. And then is attacking them with an axe and everything straight out of the other one. They did say, we're going to need a bigger bucket. Or I think they're going to need a bigger bucket. I don't know why that made me laugh. And then they end up launching up a ramp just like they did in the first movie, with the plane, this time with a truck. And Fowler runs in, kicks Tweety off the truck. She falls into the, moat that they have. Because why wouldn't a fortress like that have one? Everybody escapes. And she's not doing all that well, shall we say. And they're all living on this island paradise. The one part that I did like was including Summer Holiday, because everybody's possessed like lemmings and marching up this thing. That was actually kind of cool. More of that would have actually saved this movie from being just above average. Overall, it gets a C+. It's not awful. I'm not saying don't watch it. Maybe you'll like it a little bit more than I did. But compared to the first one, which I don't think is perfect, still was leagues better than this. So, C+. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.